essentially the playbook for U.S. policy toward Iran. The Brookings Institution is a Washington-based think tank funded by both the U.S. government and military, as well as the largest corporate financier. What is produced in the institution's papers is far from speculation or commentary, but instead reflects a consensus regarding the direction of U.S. foreign policy, ongoing or future plans to overthrow or contain the Iranian government. There are entire chapters regarding diplomatic options, which laid out plans to appear to engage with Iran.
We can go back a decade to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which is a negotiated agreement of Iran with European countries and the United States. And the idea of the JCPOA, of course, was a supervised and monitored agreement in which enrichment of uranium would be very limited. Iran would not have the means or the policy to pursue nuclear weapons. And on the counterpart side, the sanctions against Iran would be lifted. This was diplomacy. It worked. It reached an agreement.
Today, after 2 years of negotiations, the United States, together with our international partners, has achieved something that decades of animosity has not: a comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon. This deal demonstrates that American diplomacy can bring about real and meaningful change, change that makes our country and the world safer and more secure. This deal is also in line with a tradition of American leadership. It's now more than 50 years since President Kennedy stood before the American people and said, "Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate." He was speaking then about the need for discussions between the United States and the Soviet Union, which led to efforts to restrict the spread of nuclear weapons. In those days, the risk was a catastrophic nuclear war between two superpowers. In our time, the risk is that nuclear weapons will spread to more and more countries, particularly in the Middle East, the most volatile region in our world. Today, because America negotiated from a position of strength and principle, we have stopped the spread of nuclear weapons in this region. Because of this deal, the international community will be able to verify that the Islamic Republic of Iran will not develop a nuclear weapon. This deal meets every single one of the bottom lines that we established when we achieved a framework earlier this spring. Every pathway to a nuclear weapon is cut off, and the inspection and transparency regime necessary to verify that objective will be put in place. Because of this deal, Iran will not produce the highly enriched uranium and weapons-grade plutonium that form the raw materials necessary for a nuclear bomb. Because of this deal, Iran will remove 2/3 of its installed centrifuges, the machines necessary to produce highly enriched uranium for a bomb, and store them under constant international supervision. Iran will not use its advanced centrifuges to produce enriched uranium for the next decade. Iran will also get rid of 98% of its stockpile of enriched uranium. To put that in perspective, Iran currently has a stockpile that could produce up to 10 nuclear weapons. Because of this deal, that stockpile will be reduced to a fraction of what would be required for a single weapon. This stockpile limitation will last for 15 years. Because of this deal, Iran will modify the core of its reactor in Iraq so that it will not produce weapons-grade plutonium. And it has agreed to ship the spent fuel from the reactor out of the country for the lifetime of the reactor. For at least the next 15 years, Iran will not build any new heavy water reactors. Because of this deal, we will, for the first time, be in a position to verify all of these commitments. That means this deal is not built on trust. It is built on verification. Inspectors will have 24/7 access to Iran's key nuclear facilities. Iran will have access to Iran's entire nuclear supply chain, its uranium mines and mills, its conversion facility, and its centrifuge manufacturing and storage facilities. This ensures that Iran will not be able to divert materials from known facilities to covert ones. Some of these transparency measures will be in place for 25 years. Because of this deal, inspectors will also be able to access any suspicious location. Put simply, the organization responsible for the inspections, the IAEA, will have access where necessary, when necessary. That arrangement is permanent. And the IAEA has also reached an agreement with Iran to get access that it needs to complete its investigation into the possible military dimensions of Iran's past nuclear research. Finally, Iran is permanently prohibited from pursuing a nuclear weapon under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which provided the basis for the international community's efforts to apply pressure on Iran. As Iran takes steps to implement this deal, it will receive relief from the sanctions that we put in place because of Iran's nuclear program, both America's own sanctions and sanctions imposed by the United Nations Security Council. This relief will be phased in. Iran must complete key nuclear steps before it begins to receive new sanctions relief. And over the course of the next decade, Iran must abide by the deal before additional sanctions are lifted.
If you want to know how Iranians feel about this deal, look no further than the streets of Tehran. There, the answer seems clear. Their celebrations continued late into the night.
This was the best thing that could happen. We are happy.
I was very happy when I heard this news. Many things will definitely improve. Relations between Iran and Europe and other countries will greatly improve, and the pressure on the people will ease a little.
And they weren't just celebrating on the streets, but on social media as well, despite sites like Twitter being officially banned. This map shows hashtags like Iran talks and Iran deal were trending, especially around Tehran. Used in tweets like this, capturing the late-night celebrations and sharing the photos, some wanting to mark what they see as an historic step. But why are people in Iran so jubilant about this high-level political agreement? Well, it's because they believe the lifting of sanctions will directly benefit their everyday lives.
The prices are going to be low, and I think that the people will be able to buy more, and I think that we will have better life.
If Iran can be more friendly with the international community, that would be much better.
The sanctions have had a negative effect on the Iranian economy. The country went into recession for a couple of years. Growth has been restored at the moment. It has hurt people because it has lessened their ability to purchase goods, and some people have lost their jobs.
This is a bad deal. The worst possible outcome is you've created a nuclear arms race in the Mideast. You put Israel at risk and you put us at risk.
The weirdest reaction might be from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said the deal will allow Iran to take over the entire world. Netanyahu even started a Twitter account in Farsi to try to convince Iranians not to sign the deal. Then there's Saudi, the U.S.'s top Arab ally and the richest and most influential Arab country. So long as the U.S. was keeping pressure on its adversary Iran, Saudi felt secure. Now they worry a stronger Iran will reduce Saudi's influence in the region.
As the leader of a country defending itself every day against Iran's growing aggression, I wish I could take comfort in the claim that this deal blocks Iran's path to nuclear weapons. But I can't, because it doesn't. This deal does place several constraints on Iran's nuclear program, and rightly so, because the international community recognizes that Iran is so dangerous. But you see, here's the catch. Under this deal, if Iran doesn't change its behavior, in fact, if it becomes even more dangerous in the years to come, the most important constraints will still be automatically lifted by year 10 and by year 15. That would place a militant Islamic terror regime weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Relations between Iran and the IAEA now enter a new phase. It is an important day for the international community. I congratulate all those who helped make it a reality.
Today, almost exactly 6 months after finalization of the historic deal, the International Atomic Energy Agency has verified that Iran has implemented its nuclear-related commitments under the JCPOA. As Iran has fulfilled its commitments, today multilateral and national economic and financial sanctions related to Iran's nuclear program are lifted in accordance with the JCPOA. UN sanctions related to Iran's nuclear program are lifted. United Nations Security Council Resolution 2231 of 2015, which endorsed the JCPOA, will from now onwards, together with the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, be the sole international legal framework related to Iran's nuclear activities. The United States today is ceasing the application of its nuclear-related statutory sanctions on Iran, including terminating relevant executive orders and licensing of certain activities, as specified in the JCPOA.
Today marks the moment that the Iran nuclear agreement transitions from an ambitious set of promises on paper to measurable action in progress. Today, as a result of the actions taken since last July, the United States, our friends and allies in the Middle East, in the entire world, are safer because the threat of a nuclear weapon has been reduced.
Iran had the highest economic growth in the world in the following year, with over 12% growth.
what happened, of course, the United States reneged, as always. So the United States, under the pressure of the Israel lobby, reneged on the JCPOA. The Senate wouldn't support it, and especially when Trump came into office on January 20th, 2017, he basically ripped it up.
Today, we have definitive proof that this Iranian promise was a lie. Last week, Israel published intelligence documents, long concealed by Iran, conclusively showing the Iranian regime and its history of pursuing nuclear weapons.
It was an inauspicious start. A technical glitch with the audio meant a brief delay describing a highly sophisticated intelligence operation.
This was an innocent-looking compound. It looks like a dilapidated warehouse. But from the inside,
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his intelligence agents tracked the paperwork from an Iranian nuclear weapons program to this building, and that they were able to take this. Proudly displaying paperwork and discs he says were from Iran. According to his own visuals, the program ended in 2003, but he alleged it continued in secret, using these visuals and television performance to send a message.
the Iran deal, the nuclear deal, is based on lies. It's based on Iranian lies and Iranian deception. 100,000 files right here prove that they lied.
The Iran deal is defective at its core. If we do nothing, we know exactly what will happen. In just a short period of time, the world's leading state sponsor of terror will be on the cusp of acquiring the world's most dangerous weapons. At the heart of the Iran deal was a giant fiction that a murderous regime desired only a peaceful nuclear energy program. Therefore, I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. We will not allow a regime that chants death to America to gain access to the most deadly weapons on earth. The United States no longer makes empty threats. When I make promises, I keep them.
What did the Europeans do? Essentially nothing. They wouldn't say one word about the United States ripping up the JCPOA. Then as things went from bad to worse, the Europeans would never say, you know what, government of the United States, you're leading us to a new confrontation. The European leaders, are pathetic. They are just vassals in the hands of the United States.
President Trump warned the other nations that are part of the accord, including France and Germany, that they too could be punished if they help Iran. The Iranian government's response to today's action?
What Trump did was psychological warfare and an economic pressure.
اولین حسی که پیدا کردم هم خودم هم خانواده‌ام جدا. احساس کردم دیگه واقعا اینجا جای موندن نیست چون تحریم نداشتیم انقدر الان بدبختیم یعنی واقعا فشار از همه لحاظ یعنی چه هم از قشر خانواده من چه پایین‌تر چه بالاتر من همه دوستام همه دارن میرن یعنی دیگه واقعا جای موندن نیست.
اولا که من خواب بودم چون با توجه به اینکه راننده بی‌آردی هستم شبا زود میخوابم 9 میخوابم ولی شنیدم برجام کنار رفت اصلا مهم نیست ما اینجا واسه خودمون ایرانی هستیم یعنی آبادانی هیچ مهم نیست واسه ما ترامپ چه غلطی کرده چه غلطی خواهد کرد.
آنچه که تا لحظات قبلش یه جوری مثل خوف و رجا بود امید و غیر امید بود عملاً به یک بار در ذهن‌ها از جمله بنده فرو نشست ولی چون انسان به امید زنده است ما همچنان به امید زنده ایم که باز هم شرکای خوب اروپایی و حاکمان ما به گونه‌ای رفتار کنن که یک جوری امریکا رو به انزوا ببرن و عوارضاتش حداقلی برای ما بشه.
President Donald Trump says the U.S. is taking the next step on Iran. He is reimposing tough sanction on the country's
The Trump administration says Iran's already declining economy is about to get hit hard again from U.S. sanctions. Those sanctions will limit their ability to buy or acquire U.S. dollars, stop trade of aluminum and steel, and impose tariffs on their automotive industry.